These are a set of very simple videos covering quite basic operations in arithmetic and algebra, basic mathematics. What many of you will have done at school, but perhaps you've done it a long time ago and it's all gone rusty. It's no longer available when you want it. You did do it at school perhaps, and perhaps you were good at it, but it's just something you don't use every day, and now you're going back to study a course. It might be worth just bringing it back to mind. So we offer these short videos on quite straightforward pieces of manipulation and calculation, and going back over ideas that you covered, as I said, when you were in school. If you find that the videos are too basic for you, or you already remember what's included, please just turn it off and go and do something else. But if you decide you could just do with a gentle refresh, that's why we're offering the videos, and that's why they're here. I said this in all of the videos. None of these are in any way compulsory to the course or anything of that nature. They're just straightforward recap on what you've done in the past. So in this particular one, we're going to look at simplifying fractions, and I'm going to work through one fraction in particular, just to demonstrate how we can get from something quite big and complicated looking down to something which is much more manageable. Before we do that, please make sure that you've looked at the videos on fractions before starting this one, because this one really depends on you having viewed the fractions video first. After all, we have to do fractions before we can simplify fractions, and this one is about simplifying, so you should have done the fractions one first. The other thing to remember is, remember to do multiplication and division before addition and subtraction. That's a rule you must never forget. That is so important. Do multiplication and division before addition and subtraction. And also remember that the word of means multiply. So a half of 1 is it's 1 multiplied by a half. So two things to remember here, and both of these, as I said, were covered in a different video. Now we're going to focus entirely in this little session on trying to reduce this expression here, which looks really very, very nasty. It's got lots of complications in it. It's got, if I just put the cursor on here for a second, I keep saying old-fashioned cursor, but it works. Here we've got a fraction, 3/5. We've got of. We've got another fraction, 1/2, a half, plus a decimal times a percentage of a fraction divided by a percentage. This expression has got lots of different ways of writing numbers and writing quantities, and it just looks bad. It doesn't look like something we'd want to confront, but in fact it's quite straightforward. You just have to remember the rules. Remembering the rules means we can do it. So let's step through the rules and work with this one. Now we need to start by dealing with for a start, all I'm doing here is I've got this word of. Of means multiply. So I'm taking away the word of and writing in multiply, writing in an x. So it's 3/5 times a half plus, and this 0.4, I'm just putting it as a fraction. It's 2/5. 2/5 is the same as 0.4. You should take a separate sheet of paper and just confirm that to your head. If you like, divide 2 by 5, and that's dealt with in a separate video. Divide 2 by 5, turn it into a decimal, you'll find it's 0.4. So as I said, it's covered in a different video. Multiply by 25%, well 25 over 100. When you see the percent means over 100, so it's 25 over 100, that's a fraction, and you can reduce the fraction down to a quarter. So 25% is 1 over 4 of, here's a question, the multiplication sign again, 7/8. And that's all over 50%. 50% is just a half. So I haven't done anything here other than rewrite this one we started with, which looks quite nasty. We've rewritten it here. It's starting to look a bit more something we can deal with here. We need to simplify it more. So what I've done here is I've taken the first two, multiply. Remember, multiplication and division is done before addition and subtraction. So I've taken this multiplication. I go 3 ones are 3, 5 twos are 10. There it is, 3 over 10. And that's plus, here's the plus. Now this lot here are multiplied together. And again, remember, multiplication and division comes before addition and subtraction. So remember this expression up here. So down to here, we've got this lot here. We've got 3, when we simplify this, we've got 3 over 5 times a half plus this lot here. And this means we've multiplied out 3 times 1, 5 times 2, 3 over 10. Now we can multiply this lot here. We can deal with this over this. So that's our second step here. Now we're on to our third step here, this one here. So we've taken 3 times 1, 5 times 2, so it's 3/10 plus this over a half. So we're just taking it in step by step by step, little bits at a time. Now this lot here, 2 over 5 times 1 over 4 times 7 over 8. We've got to multiply that out. So 4/8, 32. 5 times 32 is 160. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 7 is 14. 14. So we've got 14 over 160. This lot here is 14 over 160. Divided by a half. All divided by a half. So we can take this up here. Now you can see the expression is getting shorter. It's starting to look easier. It's starting to become manageable. We've got two fractions on the numerator, which we're adding, and dividing by a fraction. Well, we can do this. So first of all, do the adding up here. Well, 10 into 160 is 16. 16 times 3 is 48. 48 and 14 is 62. So it's 62 over 160 divided by a half. So we've got one fraction divided by another fraction. Now, when you divide a fraction by a fraction, in a separate video we showed, what you do here is you invert the divisor and multiply. You turn the bottom fraction upside down and just multiply it. And that's dealt with in one of the other videos. So we've worked out what the numerator is. It's 62 over 160. We just added these together. We've increased the 10 up to 160. That means you have to increase the 3 up to 48. Because 48 over 160 is the same as 3 over 10. Now, deal with this one here. It's 2 times 62 over 160. We just turn the bottom fraction to half, turn it upside down and multiply. There it is. we put it on the top and multiply it by 2. Technically, I suppose we should multiply the bottom by 1, but we just leave the number the same, so we never write that. Now we can divide. We've got 124 up here, I think it is. And if you divide out several times, you'll get to 31 over 40. That's what it reduced to. You can't reduce it further because the top number is odd and the bottom number is even, so we can't divide it by 2. We can't reduce it. We can't divide by 2 or any multiple of 2. And 11 doesn't go in, and there's no other number we can think of that will divide, give us factors of 31. The factors of 31 is just simply 1 and 31. 1 will go into 31, doesn't help us. The 31 will go into 31, but if you divide by 31, you can't divide 40 by 31. So that's the answer, 31 over 40. So we started out with this very nasty looking expression here, and we've simplified it by going through these very straightforward, very logical and straightforward steps, each step just reducing it a little until we end up with our fraction here. So this 31 over 40 is the same as all of this lot over here. So we could rewrite that as 31 over 40. So that's just a worked example to show you how to go about simplifying again. So that's all we want to do in this video. So thank you for watching. Let's leave it at that. Thank you.